Chapter 3 Fly Agaric Mushrooms and TV. Returning home in a sublime state, Arthur sat down to watch TV as a habit, then went to the internet and caught himself watching entertainment videos uncontrollably. And again, as after the first visit to the tantric class, after 2 hours of sitting in front of the screen, he felt that the sublime emotions were leaving. Instead of subtle experiences, the same old meaningless state arose in him. So why are TV and the internet so effective? He wondered. What's the matter? Perhaps it is better not to watch TV or go on the internet at all. If it deprives me of the sublime states I have found after the hike, Tantra, and contact with Alice. The doorbell rang, and Arthur headed out into the corridor, going over in his head who it could be. Ruslan stood on the doorstep. "I've brought something," he said, pulling a liter jar full of mushrooms with dotted caps from behind his back with a solemn look. "Look! What are these?" Arthur was surprised when he saw the fly agaric. "Are you out of your mind? Why did you bring them to me?" "You don't know anything," Ruslan began to explain. "These are not poisonous mushrooms as people think of them. They are guides to the subtle plane. In ancient times they were taken by the Magi, and they are still eaten by shamans. Try them, and you'll see for yourself. But the main thing is not to eat them just like that. Otherwise you will see nothing but hallucinations. Tune into something you want to know, to see, and Fly Agaric will reveal it to you." Arthur looked at his friend skeptically at first, but seeing his seriousness and determination, he decided to give it a try. The friends began to eat the mushrooms carefully, but first, Arthur tried to tune into the subtle plane and understand why he was so influenced by the television, which was just working on the pedestal, showing another series. Soon, Arthur felt that everything in front of him swam, became somehow transparent, unreal. He stared at the screen of the working TV and saw his energy flowing there as he watched. Through his eyes, it was going somewhere into the screen, and from the screen, an endless stream of numbers and letters was coming at him. He decided to figure out what it was, and suddenly he heard a voice giving him directions. "You can't live without TV. You want to be like everyone else. You are easily influenced by everything. You don't have the strength to resist. You don't have an opinion. You do what you are told." Unable to bear it all any longer, Arthur made an attempt to smash the zombie TV. But his body did not obey him, and he simply turned away so as not to see this stream of stupefying compulsion. And then he began to have various visions, and in one of them he saw a huge fly agaric that was smiling at him. Then worms began to crawl out of it. They gnawed on the mushroom until it completely disintegrated into small pieces. When Arthur came to his senses after the visions, he felt sick and vomited. After that, he saw his friend Ruslan sitting on the sofa with a green face and fear in his eyes. As it turned out, he had a nightmare. Ruslan saw himself as a sick old man, and how he died and lived in the grave as a corpse. Arthur shared his vision, and Ruslan agreed that he too had experienced similar things after watching TV. Coming to the university the next day for an organizational meeting, the friends went to the assembly hall where several teams of students, teachers, and even the rector had already gathered. When they saw that the podium was free, Arthur climbed onto the stage, took the microphone, and emotionally addressed the people. "Friends, I want to warn you, don't watch TV. It is a zombie machine. It takes away your energy and transmits to you the attitudes of the authorities, who want to keep you in line so that you do not think and are will-less sheep dancing to their tune. I don't know what they do. Maybe they use the 25th frame, but we are constantly being drugged from the screen. Give me the microphone and get off the stage at once." The rector immediately attacked Arthur, shifting his eyebrows angrily. "You'd better study hard for the session. What do you know, you C student?" "What are you talking about?" Arthur parried fearlessly and with a clear challenge in full view of the entire hall. "I get dumb after every session because of your cramming. You clog our brains with useless, not applicable in life knowledge. What you can read in a reference book or look up in an internet search engine, that there's no need to cram. It's dulling. It would be better to teach us to think creatively, to develop logic, to solve riddles. But you think thinking is dangerous, don't you?" "Get him out of here!" the rector shouted, addressing the guards. Two sturdy men in uniforms marked security immediately went to Arthur and, climbing onto the stage, began to drag him off. In the meantime, there was a general clamor, noise, and applause in the hall. "Well done! That's right! That's it!" students shouted from their seats. With a general clamor, Arthur was led out of the hall, and Ruslan followed him to support his friend. When they found themselves in the spacious hall of the university, Ruslan slapped Arthur on the shoulder in a friendly manner. "Way to go, man. Well done," he said, expressing his approval of his friend's brave act. "By the way, I was thinking, we have a rap festival coming up in the city. Do you want me to arrange for you to perform there before the concert?" "Wow, you can do that?" Arthur was amazed. "I know one of the organizers," Ruslan replied with a smile. "I'll talk to him about it. I think he won't mind." On the appointed day, Arthur came to Alice's house and invited her to the rap festival. "I'll be performing there. Ruslan has already arranged it. He's waiting for us." They took a cab and drove to the place, but at the crossroads something terrible happened. A truck crashed into them at full speed. Arthur saw with his side vision how the huge truck flew straight at their car, and felt fear first of all for Alice, who was sitting next to him. He rushed to her to protect her, to shield her from the impact with his body, but it was too late. The last thing Arthur felt was an attack of sharp burning pain. Then there was tinnitus and a sensation of being pulled into a tunnel. He found himself hovering above the intersection. He could see the crumpled car and his mangled body lying next to it. It had flown through the windshield during the car crash. He saw 3 men nearby and immediately realized they were the ones responsible for the accident. He knew their thoughts. These people worked in the Secret Service and were just now calling to report to their superiors. Arthur wanted to know who was behind all this, so he was instantly transported to a scientific laboratory. There were many different devices in the room, and in the very center of the room there was a tube with a socket extending to the end. He realized that it was a psychotronic generator. A man was sitting in front of the tube and speaking the settings that Arthur had already heard when he ate the mushroom. A general was standing next to it, talking on the phone to the bastards who had caused the accident. "Where am I?" Arthur thought, and to him came the knowledge that this is a closed research institute, from where the zombie influence is transmitted to all TV channels, the internet, and cellular communication. At that moment, the guy felt as if he was being sucked into some tunnel again, and he woke up in the intensive care unit. Arthur recovered quickly. He had a severe concussion and head injury. As soon as he recovered enough to be able to walk, he immediately ran away from the ward and started looking for Alice, despite the severe dizziness and nausea. Ruslan met him and told him that things were bad. Alice had been trapped in the car, and it had taken a long time to get her out. Her spine was damaged and her legs were paralyzed. Having more or less returned to normal, Arthur felt that now he simply had no right to stop fighting, that he had to open people's eyes to what the authorities were doing to them, how they were being zombified and indoctrinated with slave programs using a psychotronic generator. Then he went to the university again and, going into one classroom, where there were 200 students, began to tell them about his experience of clinical death and what he had seen. But no sooner had he finished his story than security guards and orderlies rushed into the auditorium. They grabbed Arthur, put him in a straitjacket, and took him to a mental hospital. Lyria came to Alice when she heard of her grief. Alice, who was sitting in a wheelchair, burst into tears when she saw her. Lyria hugged her. "Don't be upset, dear," she said. "Why is this happening to me?" I must have bad karma and have been a terrible sinner in my past life, Alice said tearfully. No, my dear. Difficult situations are not a sign of bad karma. After all, God created us as we are. He created the world as it is, and if someone sins, then it's God's fault too. Maybe it is the devil who has created such severe sufferings for me? Yes, the devil creates them, Lyria confirmed. But he does not act on his own, but does only what God permits. If the devil were acting on his own, then God would not be omnipotent and omniscient if he had so carelessly created Satan. But God allows suffering so that we may reflect on life, learn to see things correctly, and become wiser. Because if there were no evil, we would always stay in a careless, meaningless state, not even thinking about the meaning of life, not striving to change ourselves and develop. What should I realize? Alice asked, continuing to sob. Each lesson is deep and multifaceted, Lyria replied in a calm, soothing voice. I can't explain it in 2 words. But think about it. You suffer from comparison. You compare your present self with your former self, yourself with others. If you were born disabled and everyone around you was the same, you wouldn't have to worry about it. Let go of comparisons. Live in the here and now. And you also suffer, like any healthy person who is doing well, from thinking about yourself, worrying about yourself. Try to think about others, what good you can do for them, how you can help them. Right now, I want to publish a magazine about Tantra and spirituality and things like that. You can be a journalist, an editor, work at the computer. You will help a lot to people to develop. Alice raised her red, tear-stained eyes to Lyria and, smearing tears down her cheeks, spoke in a shaky voice. I'm afraid that Arthur will not love me anymore now. No one will want me. It could have happened even when you were healthy. We are not immune to trouble and misfortune. But if you can rightly accept this hard lesson from God, maybe your situation will change. How? How can it change now? Through sobs, Alice asked. Calm down, my dear. Lyria hugged her. God works in mysterious ways, but we will all help you in any way we can. And you'd better think not about suffering and possible blows of fate, but about how you can help people, how you will love them and the whole world more and more every day. Then there will be fewer bad situations, believe me. Here, take this flash drive. Lyria held out a small silver thing to Alice. There is spiritual music recorded here that will help you in this difficult moment. Try to turn your suffering into compassion for people. After Lyria left, Alice opened the flash drive in her laptop and began listening to a concert of spiritual chants. The song, God Will Not Give Us Burdens Beyond Our Strength, was especially helpful. God will not let you carry burdens beyond your strength. When things are hard, say a prayer. All bad things will be replaced by good things. Strive to merge your soul with God. Ask Him in humility and hope. And don't grumble at the burden of your trials. All your troubles will go away, and you'll live as before. When your heart and soul are united, all things are for the best, you must remember. And in trials, you'll grow in spirit. You'll easily enter the world of goodness if you understand the lesson correctly. Pray, ask not to be relieved. Ask for the ability to understand. Ask for the ability to accept the teachings, to comprehend it with your soul and pass it on to others. Tears of purification flowed down Alice's cheeks. A light, elevated state appeared, in which it became easier for her to accept her situation and tune into love and help people. In our extreme times, when the fate of the entire planet is at stake, it is crucial for the knowledge of angels and benevolent spirits to spread as quickly as possible, globally, and reach thousands of people. In this way, we can change the future of all humanity. which is why we are addressing you, dear soul of light. Spread the knowledge about our wise books and films. Share links to videos or cartoons. All of this is available and free. Invite women to individual practices, webinars, and seminars. And the Great Spirit of Light will help you and your family. It will direct an enormous amount of energy to fulfill all your desires. Benevolent spirits and angels will assist you and your loved ones in all matters. A thread of light and love extends from your heart to the hearts of thirsty women, and the creation of good and the dissemination of enlightened knowledge throughout the world begins. Become part of the mission of light. Help people, and God will help you.